Well, hey there. How are you, everybody? It's Nancy Fox, the Business Fox. Good morning from Los Angeles. This is my first Facebook Live from the Midlife Leap group. And I just wanted to welcome everybody and let you know that I'm very, very excited to be getting to know as many of you as I possibly can, and to be talking with you and having great discussions with you around the topic of leaping in at this midlife time and the power of getting unstuck. So, hey Joyce, how are you? Welcome. So today, first of all, I want to let you know that I'm going to be doing a number of Facebook Lives, but I also want to invite some really great guests to share their stories of getting unstuck and the internal and external challenges that they have gone through to experience the transition from one state in their lives to the next. And so everybody I know has been stuck at one point or another, whether it be we can be stuck in our careers, in our personal lives, in our health, in our status of our health. Just, all of it can happen. Sometimes it happens at the same time. But the feeling of being stuck leaves so many of us, very, just terribly uncomfortable. And so I was asking a number of my students and my clients today about what their experience of being stuck feels like. And they expressed that they were frustrated. They were, I found it to be very depressing sometimes. They felt very powerless, and very often they felt guilty that they should be moving further along faster because no one's supposed to be stuck. We're supposed to always be able to figure things out. And that's actually one of the reasons that I decided to create this group and really focus on the topic of getting unstuck, because being stuck in life is it's an actual experience, like an external experience, but it starts in the internal parts of life or inside our minds. And that is the part that I think is so amazingly fascinating. When I started to do a lot of searching and learning and researching about neuroscience and the brain and the mind, I was fascinated to learn that 95% of our thoughts, the statistics so many of us hear is that like 80% of our thoughts are negative, 10% are positive. But what I really want to let you know is what I learned is that 95% of our thoughts are actually unconscious thoughts, and only 5% are happening at the conscious level of our awareness. That's mind-blowing, because if 95% of our thoughts are unconscious, then we are not trained in how to tap into our unconscious minds. That means we only have 5% power or control about what's happening in our lives. It's crazy. We get a lot of training in our logical thinking, in our strategic thinking, in our analytical thinking. We get tons of education around that. We spend 18 years of our lives just learning how to think on a conscious level. But we don't really learn how to tap into our unconscious minds at all. There's zero training in this, unless you're a very specific kind of psychologist or psychotherapist. Those are the people who are really studying the unconscious mind officially. But all of us could be learning this and should be learning this very early in our lives, because the truth is that our unconscious minds are dictating almost every decision that we're making every single day and all the time, but we have no mastery over it. So today I really want to talk to you about how being stuck is actually something that we really can tap into if we learn how to tap into it and start to access the unconscious parts of our minds. Now, how this came to me, and I actually think about this, like we can actually see examples of some of the most brilliant, successful people, and we have observed them being stuck in their lives. We've been the observer of this and have watched them go through the struggles, both the internal and the external struggles of being stuck. We watched Steve Jobs, one of the most brilliant men on the planet, go through a very stuck period when he had a terrible experience. He was fired from Apple. He was developing all these brilliant products, and he was fired. And then we watched him make a comeback. How the hell did he do that when he was so, distraught for years? And we've watched Andre Agassi, one of the most amazing tennis players of all time, go through a rapid acceleration and climb in his career, and then fall to the depths and then make a comeback. How did he do that? And we watched Robert Downey Jr. go through an amazingly rapid rise in his acting career, and then fall to the depths and then make an amazing comeback and return. How did he do that mentally? I mean, it's just crazy. These people just, we watch them be so amazingly successful, and then they go through the depths of failure, and they make these comebacks. And there's no way that they can have been able to make these comebacks without tapping into the most powerful parts of their minds, the unconscious mind. So what came to me recently was a memory of a time when I actually tapped into my unconscious mind, and was able to actually retrain my mind in the moment. And I want to share with you this experience, and it came to me just recently, and I had to share it with you. So for most of my early adult life, from the age of, I don't know, maybe 15 to maybe 30, I was a smoker. I started smoking really young. It was really, all the kids were doing it. My mother was a smoker, my father was a smoker, and I started smoking early in life. And sometime in my 20s, I realized it was very bad for my health, and I had to really drum up a lot of courage and a lot of willpower, and I stopped for a few months. And then, I don't know, some stressful event happened and I went back. And then a number of years later, I stopped again. And this time I stopped for a year. And then I got sick, and I went back to smoking when I got sick. And then I went back to smoking for another few years. And then one day I was at a business cocktail party, and I had a drink in one hand, and I had the cigarettes in my purse and the matches in my purse, and I had to juggle, holding the drink in one hand, and I was having a conversation with somebody that was very important to my career, and I really wanted a cigarette. So there I was, holding the glass in one hand and juggling in my purse to take out the pack of cigarettes, and then the cigarette, and then the matches, and then light the cigarette. And in a flash, I had this most amazing awareness, and this is what actually went through my mind. I've got a dog who's trying to get my attention right now by making a lot of noise. He's desperately trying to get my attention. So anyway, there I was at this cocktail party, trying to juggle getting the cigarettes out of my bag and get the cigarette lit. And I said, I don't really want this. I want the cigarette, but I don't want this. And this meant I didn't really want to be a smoker anymore. It's like I understood that my body was craving the cigarette, but I mentally didn't want to be a smoker anymore. And in the moment, I had this realization that there were two populations of people, that there were people who were smokers and there were people who were not smokers, and I chose to be in the population of people who were not smokers. And in that very moment, I gave my mind a more powerful suggestion for having a different life, or for being something completely different. I have a dog who actually has gotten hold of a candle. I'm going to have to excuse myself because he's going to eat a candle. So hang on one second. This is what he was chewing on, and he really just wants to get into the act. He wants attention so much that he knew that I would actually see how he has amazing control. His determination was bigger than mine. So anyway, so there I was, and I made the decision in that very moment to be a non-smoker. And that was very different than saying to myself, I want to stop smoking. Can you see the difference? I suggested to my mind that I really wanted to be of the population of people who were non-smokers. Completely different thought pattern. Now, what this really means is that we are suggesting things to our minds, our subconscious minds, all the time. When we say to ourselves, when we're self-trash talking, when we're saying things like, I'm so frustrated, I can't do this, I can't make money, I can't get back on track, I can't lose weight. When we're saying all of these things, we are telling our minds something, and our subconscious minds are embracing everything we say. In other words, your mind will actually give you exactly what you tell it you want. So if you say, I am stuck, I can't stop being stuck, I can't get focused, I'm distracted, I have no time management skills. Every time you say something like that, your subconscious mind is an incredible magnet, and it absorbs it, it digests it, and it integrates it into its system, and it gives you exactly what you want. In the moment that I said, I choose to be of the population of people who are non-smokers, I am of the population of people who are non-smokers, I was giving my brain, my subconscious mind, a suggestion that it could not refuse. And that is why, while I felt a few pangs of wanting a cigarette after that moment, it was maybe just for a week, I was very capable of resisting the fleeting momentary desire for a cigarette, where in the past it had been absolutely crushing to feel the desire and the pangs for a cigarette when I stopped. This time it was incredibly simple. It was just that easy to say, I choose to be of the population of people who don't smoke. I am a non-smoker. And it was that simple. And I went, wow, what else can I do with this? I choose to be of the population of people who. And so often we say to if we think about it, when we set goals for ourselves, we are treating those goals like maybes, like hope, like I'll try. We don't treat them like we are giving our subconscious mind a very serious, committed suggestion. But our subconscious minds are easily suggestible, We're just giving our subconscious minds the wrong suggestions. And that's why this is so ridiculously simple. What else would you like to be giving your subconscious mind suggestions of? Greater freedom for happiness in your job, the ability to say no to people who are demanding things that are really, you don't really want to do those things, but you say yes instead of saying no. Couldn't you not have more freedom? In a ridiculously simple way. So there is a 5-step process to this that I really began to do a lot of studying around the neuroscience of all of this, and how truly, they call it neuroplasticity, how we really can retrain our brains, the inner workings of our subconscious mind. But we need to really understand that it's a process, and we can't just treat it like, oh, once and done. No, because after the moment that I declared that I was of the population of non-smoking people, I had to practice that thought every single day. I reminded myself every day who I was and what population I was choosing to be of. And over time, my mind accepted this. It's the same thing in anything else that you want. If you're choosing to be a successful business person, or if you're choosing to be of the population of successful executives or leaders or trainers or parents or people who are who have or at the ideal weight, at the level of fitness, if you're choosing to be of the population of people who are great at a sport, who are a good when I started dancing 5 years ago, I was in the population of newbies, and I chose to be in the population of people who are well-educated, well-schooled, well-trained, and successful dancers. And that's what happened. It took practice, it took commitment, but I chose. And in the moment that I gave that suggestion to my brain started to learn differently. It started to acquire ability differently, and it responded. And that's really what it takes to get unstuck. to get unstuck, you have to first realize that you are the master of giving your unconscious minds new suggestions, and your unconscious mind will comply. It has no other choice because it has no other mechanism. That is what it's designed to do. The issue is that we don't have any training in how to give our subconscious minds these suggestions. Sometimes we need outside help to do that, to learn how to do that. I get that, and it takes that, and if that's what it takes, do it. But if you recognize that your subconscious mind is ready, willing, and able to take new suggestions for you, and the proof is in the pudding, because every time you are telling your subconscious mind that you're stuck, that you're afraid, that you can't do something, that you are disorganized, that you have bad time management skills, that you're not a good parent, that you can't control your eating, that you can't give up cake, all of that stuff, your subconscious mind just complies and gives it back to you. What if you use my 5-step method? My 5-step method is, first of all, I had to, and I'll trace it back to the smoking situation in a moment. It's identify what the current situation is and interrupt it. That's step 2. So the current situation, interrupt it, eliminate it, install a new suggestion, and reinforce it, and then implement the new pathway. So, and those are the 5 steps: identify, interrupt, eliminate, install new, and implement and reinforce. So how it really looked, to maybe say the example of my smoking, giving up smoking, or stopping or becoming a non-smoker, being in the population of non-smokers, I realized in the moment that there were 2 populations, and identified that there was a distinction between the choice, that I had choice. I identified the choice: non-smoker, smoker. I realized that I had the ability to interrupt that pattern by making a new choice, by making a new suggestion and giving it to my subconscious mind. That was where I interrupted the process. I had to eliminate one choice. I eliminated the choice of being a smoker. I took it out of the equation. And when I took that out of the equation, it freed me up to install a new suggestion to my unconscious mind. I am of the population of non-smokers. And I installed that on a day, and then I reinforced it and I implemented it on a daily basis. I did it for at least a month, every single day for a month, because I had to really educate my subconscious mind that I was serious and that I was not going to just relinquish. I was not going to give up on the old pattern. Just the way Jackson was not willing to give up on getting my attention, because here he is sitting in my lap, right? He's here. And he was unwilling to give up. He tried to get up in my lap. He tried to make noise. He tried to play with a toy, until finally he got his nose and his mouth onto something he knew that I wouldn't want to take away from him. And now he's on my lap because he was unstoppable. He made a new suggestion in his brain, and I paid attention. That's how it works. Anything that you want to have in your life is, you can get unstuck in a heartbeat, but you have to really give your brain, your subconscious mind, a new suggestion. Now, sometimes we don't realize that, we don't even know what the current suggestion, the choices are. We don't realize that our subconscious mind is that 95%. We don't know that 95% of our mind is ruling the way we're operating in our current life. We don't realize what that predominant suggestion that has been programmed in from very, very long ago. We don't know what it is. We're not aware of it. That's when we need to get outside assistance and some training and some coaching from the right people to help us become aware of what that old programming is. Sometimes we're not aware of it, and we need some help because we're in a blind spot. We can't see it ourselves. It's worth it. Do it. Because if you can't find it yourself, you're just going to be repeating the patterns that you really don't want. And it's so painful, because when we're stuck, we don't like it. Being stuck is very costly. It can cost us our relationships. It can cost us our careers. It can cost us a lot of money. And very often, it can cost us our health. I mean, consider that had I not recognized that my subconscious mind was driving my decision making, and that I had a whole lot more power than I even realized about my smoking, I would probably be, I might have been smoking for years and years longer and given up my health. I might have done that. And it would have been a snap to do that, because that's what most people do. They talk about, I have to stop smoking, immediately suggesting to their subconscious minds that it's going to be very, very difficult, that it's going to be very, very hard, that their chemical reactions in their bodies are going to be impossible to resist. And so they wind up not being successful at it, or as I did before, I was successful for a while and then I went back. But once I reprogrammed my internal mechanism, my subconscious mind, it was really easy. And I honestly, for over 30 years, I have not had a craving for a cigarette. It was that easy. I never wanted to go back. Why is it? It was like a snap, because my subconscious mind was accessed. Where do you feel stuck in your life? Is it in your career? Is it in your performance? Is it in your ability to generate income at the level that you really, really believe you want? Is it in your parenting? Is it in your health or your fitness? Is it in your relationships? Wherever you are stuck in this midlife time for you, this group is going to be about how to get unstuck. And I want to share my own education around it, and the work I do with many, many very, very talented and successful people, accomplished people, winner types, people who are high performers and very high achievers, and yet they get stuck, just like Steve Jobs did, and Andre Agassi did, and Robert Downey Jr. did, and many other successful people have gotten stuck, and some have stayed stuck because they've never been able to break free, and some have broken free and have made amazing comebacks. Britney Spears is a perfect example. So I think we have lots of different, and sometimes we've got examples all around us, but we've been unable to do it ourselves. So in this group, I'm going to be sharing my own education around it, my own tools around it, my own 5-step system around it. I call it the Rapid Rise Above method, because it allowed me to rise above so many times when I've been stuck creatively, in career, in my physicality. I mean, just so many times, and I've been able to create this 5-step method that has allowed me to get unstuck and has mastery over my unconscious thinking, and be able to really, tap into that 95% of the control that is really operating on a daily basis, and be able to get a great deal more mastery over it. And I'm also going to be sharing interviews and conversations with other very smart, successful, accomplished people, and how they've grappled with being stuck, and how they've gotten to soar again by overcoming the internal challenges as well as the external challenges. So thank you guys for being here with me today, Linda and Terry and Joyce. So I'd like to hear from you. Do you have any questions or any feedback for me about, being stuck at this time of life, and where you might want to be unstuck and what you're grappling with? Because I really want to hear from you. Hi, Rosie, welcome. I'm so glad to have you with me. Being stuck is it sucks. Being stuck sucks. That's it. Nobody likes it. And the harder we try to get unstuck in traditional ways. So here are some of the traditional ways people try to get unstuck. They read a bunch of books, self-help books, or business books, or career books, or parenting books. They start following all the gurus, and they look for magic pills and silver bullets, and they try to figure shit out. That's what they do. They try to figure it out. They want to use, this is why it takes so long to get unstuck for so many people. You are trying to use your logical, rational, intellectual, analytical brain to solve a non-analytical, non-logical problem. The issue is sourced in your unconscious part of your brain. And until you learn to tap into that, you're going to have maybe some temporary, minor relief from being stuck, but you will never be able to be free of it consistently, permanently, or at the level that you really are looking for. You'll have little baby improvements, but you won't have any consistent, deep, complete, freedom from being stuck. Just like when I stopped smoking, it was for good, with ease, it was like a breeze. It was unbelievable. I was stunned by how easy it was. I said, how come it was so, that was my third attempt. And I said, why did it work this time? Because the unconscious mind was involved. And that is why a lot of people seek out unconscious, when they finally realize that the conscious mind can't help them, that sheer willpower won't do it, it's all happening at the unconscious level. We have never been trained how to tap into our unconscious minds, and that's why I want to share more and more information and stories with you about the real truth about getting unstuck so that you can soar at unimaginable levels like you've never been before. And really, that's really the source. I want to share the source with you. I want to help you get to the source. All right, you guys, that's what I got for you today. So I want you to stick with me and be on the lookout for the interviews that I'm going to be doing with people, some really wonderful, brilliant people who have gotten unstuck and who have traversed the challenges of the internal side of getting unstuck, and the external. So we're going to share both. All right, you guys. I've been so happy to have you with me today, and I want to thank Jackson for being a really good example of how being unstoppable. He knows exactly when I'm not paying attention to him. As soon as I get on a call, a phone, or a Facebook Live, he absolutely insists on getting my attention. So unfortunately, I think he's going to be my sidekick, and I think he's going to be my co-star. So anyway, thank you so much for being with me today. This group is Midlife Leaps, from from stuck to soaring again, for high achievers. And I really am so glad that you're with me today, and I hope you'll be with me in future Facebook Lives. My intention is to do this every Thursday, mid-morning. Maybe we'll be doing it around noon, but I'll be posting, but I'm going to be doing it every Thursday. All right, you guys, thanks for being with me today, and I'll be looking for your comments and your feedback and your questions. So definitely share about your questions and your interests and your desires to go from stuck to soaring again. All right, you guys, see you soon. Bye-bye. Nancy Fox, the Business Fox. And Jackson.